Good evening, Asia Pacific. Good afternoon, Europe. And good morning, America. Welcome to the Genesis Expo, our monthly showcase on our low-code application platform. I'm Felipe Oliveira, Head of Sales and Marketing, and I'm delighted you can join us as we share with you how the Genesis LCAP is transforming financial markets IT delivery. I'm joined today by my special guest, Brad Bailey, Research Director for Capital Markets at Celent, discussing business challenges and drivers hitting sell-side in 2021 and why low-code is top of the list of priorities for sell-side CIOs. We open our show with an update from COO and co-founder James Harrison on the exciting developments at Genesis and an update from across the market. Our colleague Ray Chi, Global Head of Project Delivery, joins from London with an update on the Genesis LCAP platform and how we're reducing IT development times by 80%. And we close the session with James Ferguson, Head of New Business Development, and a demo of our middle office application TAM, or Trade Allocation Module, and how Genesis worked with sell-side firms and vendors to automate manual processes, enabling firms to be agile, and we conclude the show with a live audience Q&A. Financial market firms face a challenging and constantly changing environment. We help firms adapt, innovate, and transform their business and operating models, making it possible to do more with less code in less time. To get us underway, I would like to hand over to James Harrison for a company update.
Thank you, Felipe, for the intro. And hi, everybody, and a big thanks for taking the time out to join our fourth Expo, where we'll be updating on all the great things that are happening at Genesis. So let me kick things off with a quick company summary, including some client and project news. We are now officially in our final quarter of 2020, which by anybody's measure has been quite a year. But at Genesis, we're very proud to announce that we've just finished our strongest quarter to date. In addition, we have a very strong pipeline for the remainder of the year and into 2021. Many of you will have seen that earlier this month, we were incredibly proud to announce that Citibank, via its markets fintech and Sprint groups, has become a strategic investor into Genesis, which we're all extremely excited about. At this pivotal time in the financial markets industry, all firms are being driven to migrate from manual or Excel-style workflows that often carry operational risk onto more compliant technology, whilst at the same time ensuring these are efficient for remote working, as is now the new norm. Across the sector, there is increased adoption of cloud-enabled applications, with firms realizing the benefits that they deliver. Unlike more general LCAPs catering for BPM use cases, Genesis is the only LCAP built for financial markets, capable of delivering both simple and complex applications that are always highly resilient, compliant, scalable, and performant, all built at speed. Having Citibank as an investor in Genesis is a major validation on our shared vision on how to make low-code adoption widespread across our industry, and an endorsement on our ability to deliver enterprise-grade applications quicker, faster, and better. With the news on Citibank, this shows just how far Genesis has come in the last 7 years, and we're only just getting started. As I've just mentioned, we are now in our 7th year, and during that time we have managed to win some incredible clients in addition to Citi. These include XP, ING, RBS, London Clearing House, as well as many, many more. This year we have trebled our growth, and to best support our clients we are growing the teams in each of our regions and have also opened additional regional offices with plans to open even more soon. Genesis is being built from the ground up by financial markets industry leaders, and by design is the only low-code application platform native to financial markets. With our ever-growing Genesis application library, our best-in-class tooling, and our amazing team, this means that we're able to tackle any type of project with ease, whether simple or complex. As some of you will have seen in the second Genesis Expo, Nick Colber, our head of platform, explained how Genesis is using the very latest and greatest in UI technology to build best-in-class applications. And couple that with last month's Expo, where we saw Jose Pozo, our head of core development, demonstrate how server-side development is massively accelerated using Genesis, and where we also get to see the Genesis DevOps tooling that is used to efficiently manage both applications and environments. So altogether, this showcases that Genesis is the all-round choice for low-code applications in financial markets. The Citibank investment will allow us to do even more than we do today, and we have already identified new key hires in the industry that will be joining Genesis in both the commercial and the technology teams. And most recently, Martin Schreiber joins Genesis as Global Head of Strategic Accounts, and he brings with him a wealth of experience as a product strategist and highly respected leader within the global financial services industry. Another major milestone that the Citi investment will enable us to achieve is to accelerate our platform tooling to vastly improve the Genesis user and developer experience, allowing our clients to be able to do much more even quicker. As we onboard more and more clients and tackle more complex applications, the Genesis application library is becoming increasingly richer and now supports many, many more applications, workflows, asset classes, and interfaces. With a good example of this being that we just engaged with Symphony to make Genesis Symphony ready across all of our applications. As well as building applications, we also continue to be thought leaders in the LCAP space. And to that end, we have published some new white papers, one on EUC replacement and one on legacy integration, both available from our website, which I invite you to download. They provide key insights on the benefits of LCAP industry-wide, with the latest written by Ray Chi, who you'll be hearing from in the upload section. We're always happy to hear from anybody that wants to find out more on LCAP and how it could be used to deliver their projects, so please do get in touch. So finally from me, a quick update on the global team. It's clearly obvious that the COVID situation does not seem to be letting up, so we continue to encourage remote working for all our teams, where we continue to deliver quality projects and provide first-class support to all of our clients. And as well as this, I'm really pleased to say that the entire company remain fit and well, and we continue to monitor the ongoing situation to ensure we have appropriate safeguards in place to help maintain this. So that's almost it from me, but I would like to pass on my thanks once again for tuning in to today's Expo and ask that you stay tuned to all our digital channels and also follow us on LinkedIn. So please enjoy the show, and back to you, Felipe.
Thank you, James. Exciting times. If any audience members would like to chat with James and the team on any of the items mentioned, please do get in touch. Also, if you have any questions, please submit them now in the on-screen form and we'll cover them in our live Q&A section. Now, I would like to hand over to Ray Chi for our upload section discussing the Genesis LCAP platform and how we're reducing IT development times by 80%. Over to you, Ray.
Hi, my name is Ray Chi, and I'm Head of Solutions Delivery at Genesis Global. Over the past 3 expos, the upload sessions have covered what constitutes an LCAP and how the Genesis LCAP is unique as the only LCAP native to financial markets. We looked at a range of the topics around the front-end capabilities, the use of open source integration, all the way to the server-side capabilities that distinguish the Genesis LCAP and sets us as a secure, scalable, and highly performant enterprise-ready offering. In this expo, I will recap some of the key themes we've covered and bring that together into what constitutes the Genesis LCAP, where hopefully you will leave with an understanding of the immense possibilities of what we can achieve in solving financial industry challenges. Firstly, let's revisit what is an LCAP, what is the Genesis LCAP, why is it different to other LCAPs, and what business opportunities can it help solve for? So what is an LCAP? LCAP stands for Low Code Application Platform. Low code is pretty self-explanatory. You can build and deliver solutions exactly as you need them with much less coding effort. Less code means faster delivery of enterprise-ready systems at lower cost. The application platform is the comprehensive set of services and components that provide a lot of the capabilities that you need for a system straight out of the box, which greatly accelerates solution delivery. They're enterprise-ready and proven. So what is the Genesis LCAP and why is it different? There are a number of LCAPs available, but not all LCAPs are the same. They may all have a number of common attributes or capabilities, however, be quite distinct in their intricacies of microservices, business components, and tools. The Genesis LCAP is the financial markets native LCAP that is built bottom-up specifically to service the requirements and challenges of financial markets. Most LCAPs offer some tools to support the development process that is required. After all, there is still some coding effort. So having optimized dev tools accelerates the development process. They offer a selection of reusable functional components that perform actions that support the business process that you're trying to implement. You get non-functional components for all fundamental system requirements like security, scalability, resilience, robustness, failover. All systems need these capabilities, but with LCAP, they come straight out of the box. And then you have a whole range of tools to support the entire life cycle, from requirements and planning, the integrated development environment, managing the code, managing the builds, managing the deployments, managing the environments, all the way through to operating the production system and managing and evolving the system going forward. Taken together, all of those capabilities comprise a low-code application platform. The Genesis difference is, unlike most LCAPs, which have evolved from generic business process and workflow tools, Genesis has been specifically designed for creating and solving complex, high-performance financial services solutions. The entire platform has been designed and architected with financial services in mind, so it is capable of delivering the simple business process management workflows through to the high complex, low latency, high throughput requirements of real-time data distribution in risk and trading. You can think of the Genesis LCAP components and services as a bit like Lego bricks. You use a rich library of enterprise-proven business and system components to just snap together what you need, like Lego bricks. Because you can implement the functionality you need with just a few lines of code, and because the Lego bricks are enterprise-proven, we accelerate your time to market by 80%. There are different types of components covering all of the required capabilities commonly needed for a wide range of financial services solutions. Core platform components provide a robust, scalable, and performant foundation for enterprise-ready solutions, onto which we can then add the appropriate technical components to support the required event handling and data distribution. Business components add the key business use case-specific behaviors and capabilities, and are fluent in the language and context of financial services transactions, data, and industry standards and interfaces. And of course, where your requirement may need something completely custom, then we can build a new Lego brick to do that, while still enjoying the acceleration advantages of the platform's rich set of existing capabilities. In Expo 2, my colleague Nick Kolber presented a great session on the Genesis Web Components. I want to quickly recap a few points, but for more details, I really recommend taking some time to watch a replay of his session. A key point is that the Lego brick concept is definitely not limited to server-side capabilities and components. Within the Genesis UI framework, the reusable building block approach in the front end is created using web components. Web components are inherently composable, portable, framework agnostic, lightweight, and they free us from JavaScript framework churn. Almost anyone can compose something with HTML. HTML makes applications accessible and easy to understand, while web components make your HTML easier to understand. By using web components and other modern web dev approaches, Genesis has built an LCAP that is portable, highly customizable, interoperable, with high performance at its core. The Genesis LCAP enables the creation of micro UIs by allowing users to easily select and stand up appropriate backend services for the business flows, then stamp out any number of composable UIs. Micro UIs are key to rapid financial application development because they enable complex, data-dense UIs and intricate workflows to be broken into logical and remixable parts. Of course, the Genesis UI can work seamlessly across any number of channels, be it browser, mobile, or any web-enabled desktop container. When you add interoperability to the Genesis web components and micro UIs, it really unleashes the potential of the Genesis LCAP. Unlike many LCAPs that offer their platform as a black box, Genesis believes the best of low-code comes with open platforms and that an open source ecosystem best enables successful interoperability standards and a successful web strategy. As such, Genesis is a contributing member of the Finos Foundation and dedicated to open source development. We actively contribute to Finos, the FinTech Open Source Foundation, to help drive innovation and standards as part of a community creating open source solutions for financial services. With state-of-the-art web technologies such as web components and incorporating financial standards like FDC3 to support interoperability, the Genesis LCAP provides best-in-class capabilities to create micro UI-driven applications for financial services. Finally, I would like to recap the typical steps we follow to take you from idea to delivery faster than you have ever experienced. Underpinning almost every solution is the data. So we start with the data model. Understanding what data is needed, how to best configure that with the platform, and which data services or Lego bricks we need to select from the LCAP. Next, we would look at interfaces and integration requirements, be they client systems, upstream or downstream of the new platform, market data, trade and transaction services, exchanges, clearinghouses. We ensure there's a clear understanding of all integration and interface semantics. Then, we look at the details of the workflow and life cycles and select appropriate microservices to support the required transaction flow and event management. Following this, we look at data analytics, whether it is simple aggregations or supporting much more complex calculations and modeling. Again, selecting the appropriate Lego bricks to configure for those requirements, while also considering all the reporting and visualization to help turn large amounts of complex data into actionable, impactful information. The fifth step is to cover any user data distribution requirements, reports, PDFs, spreadsheets, export files. And finally, we design a first-class user interface built on our state-of-the-art web technology Lego bricks, such as web components and micro UIs, capable of delivering an incredible user experience with full customization, user permissioning, auditable, and secure. The Genesis application is enterprise-ready and will run securely within our LCAP architecture from server-side to front-end for a performant, secure, and scalable application that is cloud-delivered and fully integrated to your existing technology stack. The Genesis LCAP supports low latency and high throughput applications geared for financial markets with open source integration. Please let me take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time to join us today. And I urge you, if you have time, to watch the replays of previous The Upload sections available on demand on our website. And if there are any particular topics you're interested in, please do get in touch with our commercial teams, who will be more than happy to assist. Thank you. Back over to you, Felipe.
Thank you, Ray. Again, any audience members who'd like to chat with Ray and the team, please do get in touch. Also, if you have any questions, please submit them on the form on screen, and we'll cover them on our live Q&A section. We now come to the download, the section of the show where we invite an industry expert to discuss the challenges and opportunities from across the market. Hello folks, and welcome back to the download section. In today's Expo, I'm delighted to be joined by my special guest, Brad Bailey, Research Director of Capital Markets at Celent. Hello, Brad.
Hello, Felipe. How are you?
Excellent, Brad. It's a pleasure having you here on the show with us today. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. So, Brad, I feel like there's so much that we can talk about around capital markets, technology. We've seen some tectonic changes across the years, which the rate of change just keeps increasing. But I wanted to specifically focus on what are some of the business drivers and challenges that you see in the sell side specifically and going into 2021?
Absolutely. Thank you, Felipe. And you touched on a point that is quite unbelievable, is the rate of change just keeps accelerating. I think we see ourselves at really the intersection of a secular, cyclical position in the markets, underpinned by an incredible change in technology, surrounded by this exogenous event that has changed a lot of things the way we think. The challenges out there are myriad. Folks at the sell side have to look at how they're positioning themselves and how they'll fight to survive now. And what they've come to realize in light of all the different regulatory drivers, the demands of their clients, the cost structures, that, as I said, the rapidly shifting tech cycle, is they really have to think about what their core business is and what they're good at. I think a lot of firms right now are at a moment of what their existential crisis, in a sense, or an existential moment where they have to really focus on their core. So anything that's outside their core has to be thought about, rethought about, and this is on a technology, on a regulatory perspective, and all aspects of their business.
Fantastic. No, that's great. Thank you very much, Brad, for that kind of overview. If you allow me to just touch upon one of the drivers that we touched upon offline, could you just give me a bit of insight around the changing competitive landscape and what's the determinant factor that will distinguish each of the sell-side players, and what should they be doing in terms of preparing themselves to be at the forefront of this massive change in technology and business models?
As a backdrop, picking this spot where you're going to compete and thinking about the best way to accomplish everything you need to do in the most agile and the fastest way. And what we see right now is all that change, everything that's changed across asset classes, the rise of electronic trading, the continued shift in market structures, all require a massive amount of touch points between the front office and middle office and back office. And it's not just, the story of, okay, we're electronic trading for electronic trading's sake, where market structure changes for market structure's sake. Regulators, investors, clients are all looking at their estate, their technology estate, the way they do business, and they're expecting their sell-side partners to meet them where they are. And I think that is something that it's such a challenge. And this manifests itself in the front office, in the front through back, front, middle, and back office. So this change in the way people want to intersect, you have to think about, what do my clients want? What channels am I meeting in them? As the market goes more electronic, how am I going to deliver an API or deliver through my STP or meet them on a ECN? And you see this in so many different ways in the marketplace right now. And people are scrambling not only to figure out how to solve these problems, but do it in a fast, repeatable, and a way that can really be beyond the silos that exist in their businesses.
Yeah. So Brad, it feels to me that the name of the game is really technology and data. One of the things you just mentioned around the change for electronification and electronic trading. Many years ago, we've seen, when electronic trading began in DMA, in the equities asset class. And what we're seeing today is actually a shift of that into new asset classes, some of which are, for example, fixed income, which actually we're going to be showing in the Expo later on today. One of our Genesis applications, which is a middle office application that does a lot of those workflows, and it's multi-asset class, and we've just added on fixed income. So we see that shift and that kind of client need and demands coming into us as well from the client side. But could you give me a little bit more of of your views in terms of where in the journey are we around this whole digital transformation, and what does that mean? Because when you think about digital transformation, there's lots of software vendors. Arguably the front office, you have some more established systems. But when you're thinking about your legacy stack and technology, in terms of future-proofing your business, how should CIOs and the sell side think about their legacy stack in terms of, should they adopt a platform? What's the approach that they should take around legacy versus build? Can you give a little bit of a flavor in terms of what you're seeing and what you think, looking ahead a few years, what that looks like?
Felipe, you're absolutely right. Technology is the game, and data is the digital transformation. In other words, if you think about this estate, you think about all these changes in the market. One, as a market goes electronic, there's a virtuous cycle of data creation. The more data that's created, the more data that people want, the more has to be analyzed, the more it's used to feed risk systems and to feed back office and clearing systems and to provide revenue generating trade opportunities, as well as revenue opportunity, things that you can give to your client. This is key. You cannot waste one single byte of data. And this is more than anything, the digital transformation is how to see these different data in all these different points in their different forms and bring them together in a way that can make sense. So as I said, we're going to see more data generation, and any time in the markets that there's more data, people always want more. And that data is market data. And now we have to manage quotes and IOIs and RFQs. We have protocol battles taking place depending on your frame of reference. If you come from the equity business, you look at RFQ and as a distant, something that's hard to understand. Whereas if you're coming from the fixed income world, a club or an exchange model is something very difficult to understand. But these are merging, and we see this. We see people wanting to manage their quotes better, wanting to segment their clients better. And this is all fundamentally underpinned by data. And what we have in the technology debt that exists in the capital market is archaeological infrastructure. You go down, you see different types of technology. You can't just necessarily tear it out right away. You have to build upon it. And this modularity has really reached a point where it is so key. How do I communicate between different systems, older systems, mainframes potentially, different server and the cloud? And these points of modularity, and I don't mean just in the front office systems, I mean in cross assets, I mean going to risk, all the operational flows. And this is the difficulty. That those data sets and bringing them from front to back is amazing. And, in every step of that, there's the compliance needs and the never-ending demands of regulators globally to feed different types of data at faster and faster rates. This is a challenge we see right now, talking about fixed income as it goes electronic. How do you deal with these protocol battles? How do you deal with the CLOB and fragmenting liquidity? Where are the points where you can get faster and faster needs for MiFID II or for TRACE? And I think these really are points where folks have to reconsider what they're doing, look at the way, just fundamentally change their go-to-market from the conception of something to the ultimate testing of it.
Yeah, that's great, Brad. And actually, if you allow me to just build on to that, I think where I'm getting to here is that the industry, the whole industry is fundamentally changed and is continuing to change. So you look at, if you look at, last week's earning reports when the banks kicked off, JP Morgan reporting, above expectations, growing nearly all of their segments in capital markets. You look at, for example, Microsoft Azure cloud business growing 17% when they reported back in July with the end of their fiscal quarter. I mean, the data consumption seems to be growing and growing and growing, the appetite is there for even more. So one of the things we've seen specifically on the sales side over the many years, to your point around new regulations, new changing dynamics, the need for data and reporting, and a lot of the antique and archaic legacy IT architecture. So what's the answer to that? How do you evolve that business, and what happens to who's the winner and who's going to be the losers in this?
Right. And the winner is a winner take all in certain respects. There are gaps in the market as formed. We're talking, you mentioned, numbers. We're going to see incredible numbers coming out. The capital market's been very busy. The backdrop to that is, the amazing, how do you work in this environment where you have a distributed workforce? And in many ways, the backdrop of what we've had has accelerated some of these processes. And what we see, the firms that are making the money and doing it right have built over time a methodology and continue to do it to leverage their data. They are not wasting their data. They're collecting not just the standard market data, all types of data. We're talking about infrastructure for certain firms that are absorbing from the market millions of messages a second. That's as we look at this and people think about, you have to think, okay, it's one thing to solve certain types of problems, but this is just getting faster and faster, and there is absolutely no room for error when you're dealing, in the speed in which the market occurs today. And I think technologists are really one of the fundamental things as they look at each of their different businesses by asset class or by position, or is trying to leverage and what can they do from a software perspective? What can they do from a development perspective to reuse components, to attach where the attach points they have, but how do they satisfy all these different needs, the pressures from their clients, the pressures for profitability, cutting costs, serving their clients, and competing in an increasingly margin difficult environment. And I think those who get it right are really, you just see it. You'll see it in the numbers that come out. You'll see it in philosophies on how they think about their moves with technology and software and infrastructure.
And Brad, that's a really interesting explanation, because when you actually look at data, the need for data and data consumption, that's something actually that transcends capital markets. Funny enough, the last couple of days I watched a Netflix documentary called Social Dilemma, which obviously talks about the big data businesses like the Facebooks, the Instagrams, etc. And when it comes to capital markets, I think it's no different. Even at Genesis, when we look at some of the solutions that we build for customers, we look at the non-functional components, we look at the data models, we look at the integration points, we look at the data analytics, data reporting, all the way to the user interface. So what are some of the data components that are specific to capital markets when CIOs should be thinking about technology? Is it, can you give us a little bit of a spiel, in terms of what platforms, what partners, why low code, how can low code help them with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the move to low code is part of this. What is core? Do I have to rebuild for every new solution? We said the market's going electronic. We said there's data. Of course, this is, if we go beyond the capital markets to the broader financial services, this is unbelievable what we're seeing, and people are struggling. If we focus in on the investment banking and the trading and the creation of markets, how different is each marketplace that you need to create? Yes, there's market structure difference. There's micro market structure nuances, but why rebuild everything? Why not go to a methodology that takes these components and uses that in ways? Now, of course, and this is not just for low code, it's not just for the citizen developer. Now we open up a whole new way in which you can start plugging things together, the business analyst or the citizen developer trader or something like that, where they can get the insights they need. I mean, the point around data, one of the key things, if we step back, is, getting the right data in the right form to the right people at the right time. And that has been a massive, massive investment, continues to be a challenge. But as you modularize your data structures and you put that into components that you can connect together between a proprietary system, between a vendor system, you really then can get to market very quickly. Think about the speed and agility that you can get from not rebuilding the wheel every time. And if low code as a tool in the CIO and others in the sell side, this is an incredible opportunity for them to really say, look, this is how we go here. This is how we build a loan platform. This is how we build this type of bond platform. If there's a specialized bond universe that evolves for green bond issuance, let's go to the market as quickly as possible. That is where, a fundamental thing. There's a cost save, which has been so key, but how do we get that revenue? How do we get that next opportunity to be the best in a new market or to grow our market share where we're already competing? That's in a place that's getting more electronic or more digital in its trading.
Brad, I'm going to make a connection to a comment you made in the beginning of our conversation, which is, the tectonic and the rate of change that is increasing. So what I'm getting from you here in this section is actually the time to market is actually one of the crucial components to make sure that the business actually stays in business. Is that a fair assumption?
Well, you have to be in business to compete. So it's no, but your point is like, just think about what it takes, all the underlying work, the setup infrastructure, the setup data, to set this all up. And every time, if you're doing that for every project, for every little thing, you're never going to be first. And in some of these markets, if you're not first, you're last.
Absolutely. And Brad, we at Genesis, obviously, we believe in low code. Obviously, that is our business, and we've seen tremendous growth this year alone. We've trebled our growth, and there's an insatiable demand for software and low code and applications, and obviously enterprise-ready solutions that you easily could deploy on premise or throughout different environments, on cloud or agnostic, obviously, and so on and so forth. But if you were to leave the audience with one insight that you want them to take away in terms of what CIOs, sell-side firms, capital market players, what should they be doing and thinking in 2021 to be at the forefront of the game?
Just think about what is core, what do I need to do in my own infrastructure, on-prem, what do I have to do in other deployments, and how can I use these tools that can supercharge, different types of users without the highest paid developers who are needed in certain very nuanced applications. Why not take your development estate and give them these tools and let them run and come up with, let the genius of these folks that see things from a business perspective and can map it in a business way and develop from there. Because next year is going to be, a fascinating year as we come out of the situation we've been at now. And the competition and the level in which you have to think about your costs and revenue and your technology estate is going to be key. People are going to be investing. Technology is the game. You're either moving forward in developing a better methodology and a better technology estate, or you're dying. And that's the name of the game here in the capital markets.
Brad, we firmly believe in that as well. I think the modular approach, what we call it at Genesis, the Lego bricks components of the platform, which specific to capital markets around high throughput, low latency, and some of the other nuances, depending on what the use case, whether simple BPM or more complex, that we've been solving for our customers. So we're firm believers in that future as well. And we look forward to working with Celent and with you and continuing the conversation. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. And if anybody wants to get in touch with Brad, please get in touch with myself as well. I'll be happy to connect you guys with Celent as well. Brad, thank you so much.
Thank you, Felipe.
To find out more about Celent, please get in touch or head to celent.com. I would now like to hand over to my colleague James Ferguson for a demo of our middle office application TAM, or Trade Allocation Module, and how Genesis worked with sell-side firms and vendors to automate manual processes, enabling firms to be agile.
Thanks, Felipe, and hello everyone. I'm James Ferguson, Head of New Business Development at Genesis, and I have the pleasure of taking you through today's demo of our Trade Allocation Manager, TAM, which is part of Genesis's extensive application library. The Genesis applications are utilized by financial market firms ranging from buy-side, sell-side, and market infrastructure providers, with the aim of delivering secure and scalable solutions, as well as accelerating the delivery of IT projects. For sell-side firms, the combined effect of regulatory changes and margin and fees compression mean they are under increased pressure to reduce operational costs. Technology, and specifically low-code, is the key to unlocking crucial IT productivity gains and transforming operating models. What we are seeing in the market is an increasing number of sell-side firms reviewing their legacy technology stacks, particularly in the post-trade space, and opting for a best-of-breed modular architecture. This paradigm shift plays to the strengths of the Genesis LCAP platform, which can supercharge innovation around incumbent legacy systems, automate manual processes, and enable firms to be truly agile. In today's session, I'll be showcasing how Genesis has developed an application for sell-side firms to automate and centralize their middle office workflow. Genesis TAM is a multi-asset, agnostic middle office application that enables clients to capture trades from multiple upstream trading applications before applying granular commissions, fees, and charges for both market and client-side trades. Because TAM is system agnostic, it can pull in trades from any front-end OMS or EMS, and already has the adapters for established vendor packages such as Fidessa, Bloomberg, Iris, and TT, consuming trade data via FIX or SFTP. The TAM application caters to the workflow for each asset type, whether it's listed derivatives, equity, or fixed income, providing a centralized, fully audited, and user-permissioned GUI to validate, enrich, allocate, and confirm trades. TAM also stores extensive reference data for counterparties and brokers against which allocation, fees, and settlement rules can be applied to automate as many steps in the middle office workflow as possible. TAM also offers connectivity to DTCC's CTM for counterparties that use the central trade matching system for trade processing. Finally, TAM produces back-office files for transaction reporting and offers downstream connectivity to custodians like BNP or Pershing. Now let's consider a use case we are increasingly coming across for medium to large brokers, for which TAM can act as a powerful productivity solution. These firms will execute in multiple asset classes, but each asset class is typically siloed, so they may use Fidessa for equity, Bloomberg for fixed income, and TT or ION for futures. While some of the workflows across asset classes are similar, the reality is they are processed in different systems with different levels of automation. Equities are ahead of the curve, whereas in fixed income there is very little automation, typically relying on spreadsheets and voice confirmation processes. The situation for futures is similar, with a lot of manual workflows that are prone to errors, resulting in high staffing costs. TAM addresses these challenges by offering a single application to process trades across all asset classes from upstream trading systems. That means you can have one middle office team looking after securities, whether equities or bonds, as well as futures and repos or other asset classes. This will enable greater efficiency, aggregating trades, performing the asset class specific workflows, and achieving STP downstream into settlement, clearing for futures, risk, and accounting. For productivity gains, automation is key. The TAM workflow state model is fully configurable and steps are automated where there is no need for any manual intervention. For client-side trades, these start from initial trade capture and enrichment to fee calculation, trade bunching, pairing off, all the way through to allocation, confirmation, and reporting. For market-side trades, the steps differ with the need to link both sides as well as netting or aggregation. Wherever possible, workflow steps are automated to achieve straight-through processing, with exceptions and alerts popping up when user intervention is required. So let's jump into a demo of Genesis's trade allocation module. TAM loads up with the latest saved display. In the top grid, we have all the trades or CTM blocks, which have dropped in from other front-end trading platforms, either via an API or file upload. At the bottom left are the individual sub-account allocations related to the selected trade, and at the bottom right are the individual fees and commissions related to the allocations. On the left is a dashboard which summarizes the allocation activity by trade date, counterparty, and settlement region. Navigation around TAM is driven via the menu bar at the top to launch other components. It's also possible to pin other components at the side of the screen for easy access. Before we get onto the workflow, it makes sense to look at the underlying reference data, as this is critical to automating as much of the workflow as possible. Starting with counterparty reference data. For new TAM customers, we provide an import template to bring all the counterparty data into the system. Once that's done, in the top grid, you can see all your counterparty data. If we select one and click Modify, here we store all the high-level profile information, contact and address details. Crucially, the confirmation method can be specified, whether it's manual or CTM. You can also set up different report templates for different counterparties. These can either be delivered in PDF or Excel format, completely customizable by client. So here you can assign the report template to the counterparty. Below you can set the default settings to handle rounding of fees and commissions, as well as store an alternative counterparty code used within other systems like CTM. Beneath, you have all the sub-accounts, the funds related to the counterparties, normally set up as cash or give up, for example, if it's a CFD. In this case, the newbie account has two sub-accounts, Newbie Fund A and Newbie Fund B. Lastly, in the bottom grid, you can store standard settlement instructions or SSI data. Many custodians will manage the SSIs on their side, but SSI data needs to be provided if you're interfacing with some custodians, like BNP. This shows the individual SSI information per sub-account, per asset class, per country. So in this case, you have different SSI information for each fund in either Germany or Holland, allowing you to mitigate any risk of trade failures and subsequent failed trade costs associated with fines or lost business from unhappy customers. The next piece to set up are the default allocation methods, which can be done for each individual counterparty, selecting either manual, equally distributed, or weighted allocation. For counterparties that have weighted allocations selected, these need to be set up accordingly via another component where you can specify the weightings. Moving on to a key component, which is the attribution of fees. You can set up fees, generally one per market. Some exceptions, for example, the UK, where you have set up specific fees, PTM levy and UK stamp duty, for example. This means there is always a baseline commission fee for any trade. You can then set up fees and special rates for your counterparties and how you want them to work. For example, for BlackRock, I've agreed to trade UK stock for them at a rate of 2.5 basis points. For BlackRock and US, I'll charge 2 cents per share, a different type of calculation. And for French clients, I'll also charge 2 basis points. Now onto the allocation workflow. In the trade blotter, you see all the block trades and their relevant parameters, with their allocation status highlighted in red or green. One useful feature is the ability to amend the trade directly through TAM, should the person have the necessary permissions, which are defined for each user at an admin level. There are many additional data fields available if you scroll to the right, summarizing the exchange ID, executing broker, trade source, etc. Trades that come in for a counterparty that has auto-allocation rules set up will go straight to a fully allocated state. For example, Newbie, which is set to equally weighted. The trade quantity of 25 has been split into 12 and 13 across the two funds. You can then filter to unallocated block trades, which need to be manually allocated. For efficiency, you can bunch trades for the same counterparty, direction, and instrument. For example, the two Samsung trades for Euromod. You can bunch the selected trades. A tick then denotes that they have been bunched. Alternatively, you can just click on Bunch All Trades to automatically do so for all the applicable trades in the blotter. We can then manually allocate the bunch trade, in this case 40,000 Samsung for Euromob. The related funds are shown in the grid below, and manually enter the quantities. If the quantities don't match the total, it will show a partial allocation. Update the numbers, and the allocation is now complete, with all the calculated fees and charges. The other option is to allocate to a single account, selecting the other Euromob bunch trade of 400 Renishaw, then single account allocation, select the sub-account, submit once to validate, and again to complete the action. The next part of the workflow is client confirmations. You can generate a PDF version of the confirmation via the export button, then view the trade advice with all the parameters of the trade. TAM can be set up to automatically email the confirmations to the client. A settlement report can also be generated to be sent downstream to the custodian in different file formats of your custodian's choice. Finally, there's the CTM workflow. Counterparties which are set up with CTM will have a CTM block and allocation status. Select one of the CTM blocks and then release block. This will release the block into CTM's test harness, and if the block matches what's been sent from the investment manager to CTM, the status will update to allocations ready. This can take up to a minute depending on the trade. To speed things up, we'll select one which is already in this status. In the hidden block tab, you can see the status is matched with the alleged block details sent via TAM and the details sent from the investment manager. This makes it quick to diagnose if the blocks have not matched. You can then create the confirms, and you can then see the allocations in the table below. Finally, you can release the confirms back to CTM with the allocation status eventually changing to matched. Again, the whole CTM processing workflow can be fully automated within TAM to achieve STP. That concludes the demo, so let's recap. What makes TAM unique from other middle office solutions? First and foremost, TAM is built on Genesis LCAP, which makes it easy and cost efficient to enhance the functionality. This means firms can be agile and react quickly to meet the ever-changing industry and regulatory environment. Secondly, it supports multiple asset classes and is system agnostic, so it isn't tied to one specific OMS or post-trade service provider, and Genesis will take care of any integration requirements using the platform's tools. Thanks very much for listening. If you would like to see a full demo of TAM or any other applications in our extensive application library, please do get in touch. Till the next Expo.
Thank you, James. If you'd like a tailored demo of our middle office application TAM or trade allocation module, please do get in touch anytime. So before we head over to our live Q&A section, I would like to thank you for joining our Expo, our monthly update in the Genesis LCAP and how we're transforming IT delivery. Check out our previous show with Olivia Vinden, Director and Head of FinTech and Innovation at Alpha FMC, and Dave Nathan, Associate Director at Alpha FMC, discussing asset managers and the business and tech drivers setting their 2021 strategy, particularly as they enter budgeting season. Hello, folks, and welcome back. I'm delighted to be joined again here by my special guest from Celent. Hello.
Hello. Hey, how are you, Felipe?
Very good, Brad. Thank you. So we're now going to go into the live Q&A section where we're going to be answering some of the questions that came through the show. And the first question that came through here is, can you elaborate on how low-code may be a better option over traditional IT delivery methods? Brad, would you like to take that one?
Absolutely. I mean, just think about even today what we discussed, like what's going on in the minds of CIOs and CTOs. They have a legacy estate, very elaborate processes built over years, yet they have to create efficient means of looking at what they're going to do. We've seen more build versus buy evolve into build and buy, and then modularly put this together. To tie together legacy vendor stacks with new vendor solutions, with new proprietary solutions, and really try to solve the problem of disparate data sets across different silos. I mean, that is really where you see tremendous opportunity and tremendous use growing.
Perfect. Thank you, Brad. Let me look at the second question here, which is, what are the key attributes to consider when selecting a low-code platform? Brad, would you mind if I took that one?
Sure, please.
All right. So I would say that the attributes you want to look at are, I would divide them up into maybe 4 segments. The first one would probably be the technical attributes around, you want to look at a platform that is performant, that is secure, that is scalable, that is resilient, that's going to give you the uptime and all the quality cues from a technology standpoint. The second would probably be around the intended use of the applications. I think when it comes to simple business process management use cases, you might have a broader set of options. But when it comes to very specific use case, complex use case, for example, in financial markets, you might want to look at a platform that actually has all those attributes and components and business and technical APIs and all the other attributes for that specific segment or use case or market, because that will make a tremendous difference in the application development, and also future proof any new applications off of the initial version. So that would probably be the intended use. The other points to mention on that as well is, I think, depending on the sector, you'd have some very specific requirements, like, for instance, in financial markets, low latency, high throughput when it comes to trading applications, and other complex real-time data distribution and open source connectivity. So that would be the second point. The third point, I would say, probably understanding the business requirements. From the section that was very well delivered by Ray, my colleague, where he explains and takes you through the kind of how what the approach is in terms of looking at the different business requirements and the data schemas, all the time to market and all the other requirements that your business will have. I think would be another factor. And then last, but certainly not least, I would say probably looking at client testimonials or referrals or recommendations, trying to understand on what kind of applications have been built, and if that kind of suffices or kind of meets your requirements in terms of your business. So that would be my high-level recommendation in terms of what. Brad, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or.
No, I think that's a good point. I mean, if you really want to get the edge, the ability to have access to direct connectivity to existing solutions that are there, to be able to operate in situations where the throughput is very high and there's potential, demands for not only throughput but latency. So absolutely, you have to look at it like that. Like, what is the right solution to the particular problem?
Absolutely. I'm going to try to contain myself. We actually have some very interesting, exciting press releases coming up on that front. So stay tuned, folks, for the next expos. But let's keep going. Going on to the next question from the audience. How can low code offer the sell side an edge when it comes to data and analytics? Brad, I'm going to turn to you for that one.
Okay. So again, it goes to this point. If you are looking at what you have, either solving a particular problem or adding on, the key is you got to have the right data in the right form, in the right way to communicate. So putting like this toolkit in place to do that is key. That allows you then to bring disparate data in, potentially reuse data for new analytics that are similar, and it really gets the right data in the right hand. And that is absolutely one of the key challenges and one of the key processes that people are trying to figure out. So the way in which you tie everything together is really that a potentially and particularly powerful device.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Brad. What we see as well is, depending on the market positioning, whether you're buy side or sell side or a market infrastructure player, I think there's many different uses of that, and we see that come through the incoming requests from clients in terms of building applications and specific use cases. So that's an excellent answer. Thank you, Brad. So moving on to the next question. Electronic trading and automation have gone a long way in some capital market asset classes, as an example, equities. Do you envision a broader market adoption of electronic trading in other asset classes? And what role will low code play in this transformation?
There's a lot there, but absolutely, there's no doubt that over time, you've seen the digitization of more markets, and it's accelerating. Formerly difficult markets, we've seen equities and futures. Then you've seen FX, and FX has changed so radically from the voice business to electronic business over the last 10 years is phenomenal. And now in fixed income, with all its complexities and bespoke products, is becoming more and more electronic. If anything, the recent pandemic, what we're dealing with, has really upped people's demand to access markets in different ways. At the same time, you have to get the middle and back office and the processing of all those different things in different ways. So you can de-silo your asset classes with different functionality that low-code could bring, reuse an RFQ platform, or you reuse, you want to build a new bond platform, or a new rates platform, a new credit platform. But it's also then getting all that into the right systems to make sure that risk and repo and your clients and everyone has what they need. And the faster you can do that, the better, because the markets are getting faster. Even in notoriously and historically slow markets, they're speeding up.
Brad, I could not agree more with what you just said. And obviously, we've just seen James Ferguson's demo of TAM as well, which obviously is asset class agnostic. And, we've just added fixed income, which is I guess, moving more towards, the electronic trading as opposed to voice or other means. So absolutely. The other interesting one actually on that front as well, you mentioned FX. We look today at today's markets and, China is clearly, outperforming all of the equity indices. And China is one market where you see there's some FX controls and particular rules in terms of how to transact and access the market. So I think you're absolutely right. I think we're going to see probably a lot more of low code playing a role in some of these very specific industry challenges that we're trying to solve for. Thank you, Brad, for that. That was really good insight. I think we have time for one more question. So let's see, the one more question here is, what does the sell-side industry look like 10 years into digital transformation? And what are the top 3 major changes happening today that CIOs absolutely need to be doing to gain a competitive edge, to thrive and survive? Brad, I think that one is clearly meant for you.
There's a lot there. I would say 3 things. Digital starts with data. The reality is getting the right data in the right format to the right people unleashes incredible genius in the markets. It allows a de-siloing, a mitigation of risk, the ability to get to market quickly. The second thing, we talked, this point came up in our discussion, in 10 years in, the firms that have focused on their core and have allowed partnership models and allowed other tools rather than rebuilding the wheel every time has been key. The faster you can go in a market like capital markets or trading and financial markets where being speed and to market is so key, you have to be, what do we do? What do we offer our clients? And sometimes you build something and you can build something fast even before your client knows they need it. The third thing, it just ties us all together, is that this total different mentality on buy, build, partnering, and getting to a platform. When you use these different tools, and as a sell side, you create a platform, you create an ecosystem, we said a million times, but it's really an ocean where your counterparties and your clients can swim together and do amazing things. And that's going to, it's started to define the last decade and will absolutely define the decade ahead.
Absolutely, Brad. And I think actually on that point, I think we're going to have a very interesting week next week with US elections. We're going to have the Bank of England deciding on stimulus. So absolutely. So I think very good points. And let's see what the future brings. Absolutely. But I think we're running out of time now. So Brad, I'm going to thank you so much once again for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure having you with you on this expo. I hope the audience enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing everyone on the next expo. Stay tuned. And once again, Brad, thank you so much. And the audience, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you, Felipe. Thank you, everyone. I got a lot out of it. I thought it was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Bye now.